This lesson is for the benefit of Mac users, highlighting the main differences in the Mac version of Dreamweaver CC. Apart from the usual differences in keyboard shortcuts, the Windows and Mac versions are remarkably similar. The main differences are that the program menus are always at the top of the screen. That's the usual Mac way of doing things. The other thing is that you can remove this grey background that hides the desktop. The way to do that is to go to Window and then select Application Frame, and the desktop then shows through the program. When you do that, the workspace switcher moves over to the left hand side. Let me just go back and restore the application frame. With the application frame turned on, the workspace switcher is in the same place as on Windows. A lot of Mac users find this empty bar up here a huge waste of space. The way to get rid of it is to go to the Window menu, turn off the application frame, and then turn off the application bar. When you do so, you get a lot more space, but you also lose the workspace switcher. But that's not really a problem, because if you go to the Window menu and select Workspace Layout, you get exactly the same options as you do in the workspace switcher. The application frame and application bar are linked to each other. If the application frame is turned on, the application bar is always visible, and the option to toggle it on and off is greyed out in this menu here. Now let's open a couple of files. By default, files open in tabs like this. And although you don't get the location of the file at the top right here as you do in Windows, you can discover the location of a file by hovering over the tab, and you then see a tooltip with the file location. If you don't like your files being regimented in tabs, you can turn the tabs off in the Preferences panel. The Preferences panel on a Mac is on the Dreamweaver menu, and then select Preferences. The keyboard shortcut is Command U, which is different from the standard Mac shortcut. Then select General in the category list on the left, and this first option, Open Documents in Tabs. If you deselect that checkbox, the files won't open in tabs, and you can move them around whichever way you like. I'm going to leave them in tabs, so I'm just going to click Close. Dialog boxes that select, open or save files and folders use the native operating system layout in both Mac and Windows. So let's just open one of those dialog boxes. If we go to File, Open. This is an ordinary Mac dialog box, so it should be very familiar to you. The only real difference is that occasionally buttons have different labels, such as Choose instead of Select or OK. But because they're native Mac dialog boxes, it shouldn't create any particular problem for you. The only area where the Mac version doesn't share the same functionality as the Windows version is in the File menu. And in the Import submenu, there are two extra options on Windows. They allow you to import content directly from a Word or an Excel document. That import feature on Windows relies on accessing hooks in Word and Excel that aren't exposed on the Mac. However, you can easily get round this by copying and pasting from Word and Excel documents. In fact, it's usually more efficient to do so, because normally you want to examine the content of a document before importing it, so the file is usually open anyway. One thing that Windows users don't have is this little search field at the top of the Files panel. If I start searching in here, say for Forms, I then get a list of matching file names. Also, I get files that have got matching text, so that's extremely useful. That's tied in with Spotlight. So those are the main differences between the Windows and Mac versions of Dreamweaver. The menus are attached to the top of the screen, and the program uses native Mac dialog boxes for selecting, opening and saving files. You can turn off the grey background to see the desktop through the program, and you can also turn off displaying files in tabs. And the Files panel hooks into Spotlight to search for files and text in files.